Perugia's Shadow, the Meredith Kercher story. Hope filled Meredith Kercher when she reached Perugia, an old Italian hill town. It was the autumn of 2007. The 21-year-old British student looked forward to a year studying Italian and European politics. She moved into a cottage apartment on Via della Pergola 7. Her flatmates were two Italian women and an American student, Amanda Knox. Knox, who was studying there too, soon started dating an Italian named Raffaele Salcedo. For a short time, their lives followed student rhythms, classes, new friends, seeing the sights of the city. Then November 2nd arrived, and everything changed. Amanda Knox said she came back to the apartment after staying at Salcedo's home. She reported the front door was open. She saw blood spots in a bathroom. Meredith's bedroom door was locked. Calls were made, first to Knox's mother, then Salcedo, then the Italian police. When officers opened Meredith's door, they found a terrible scene. Meredith was lifeless on her bedroom floor. She had been killed by knife wounds to her neck. There were signs of a fight and assault. Attention soon turned to Amanda Knox and Raffaele Salcedo. Police noted statements that seemed mismatched and behavior they viewed as strange. Knox first pointed a finger at Patrick Lumumba, her boss at a bar. Police arrested him, but he was quickly cleared. Knox and Salcedo were arrested just days after Meredith's body was discovered. At the same time, science offered clues. A bloody handprint on a pillow under Meredith belonged to Rudy Guide, a young man known around Perugia who had a record of small crimes. DNA from Meredith's body matched him too. Guide had left Italy. He was soon found and arrested in Germany. He admitted he was in the apartment that night, but said he did not kill Meredith. He gave different stories about what he saw. The court process became a twisting path watched around the globe. Rudy Guide took a separate, quicker trial. In 2008, a court found him guilty of Meredith's killing and assault. His sentence was later shortened. He eventually walked free. The only person whose guilt for being involved in the crime was permanently decided. Amanda Knox and Raffaele Salcedo faced a long ordeal. Their trial together started in 2009. Lawyers for the state claimed Meredith died in a group sex act that turned violent. They showed disputed DNA proof. Tiny amounts supposedly found on a knife from Salcedo's apartment and on Meredith's bra clasp, which was found weeks after the first search. Lawyers for Knox and Salcedo fought this proof, suggesting poor handling and collection made it unreliable. Near the end of 2009, Knox and Salcedo were found guilty. They went to prison. 2 years passed. An appeals court looked again. Independent experts sharply questioned the main DNA proof, calling it flawed and not trustworthy. Mainly from this new look at the proof, Knox and Salcedo were found not guilty in 2011. They were freed after 4 years in jail. Knox flew straight back to the United States. But the story did not end there. Italy's highest court examined the not guilty finding in 2013. It rejected the finding, faulting the appeal judge's logic. It ordered a new appeal trial. Back in a Florence court in 2014, Knox, who stayed in the U.S., and Salcedo were found guilty again. The last turn came in March 2015 at Italy's Supreme Court. This time, the highest court made a surprising reversal. It canceled the guilty findings for good. It pointed out huge problems in the original police work and a total lack of dependable biological proof connecting Knox or Salcedo to the crime scene itself. This judgment could not be appealed. Italian law cleared them of the killing. The case left lasting effects. The police work itself drew complaints about possible mistakes and focusing too narrowly. The DNA proof remained a center of argument. Heavy, sometimes wild, media coverage followed the case, focusing much attention on Amanda Knox. This reporting created stories that made finding the truth harder. Meredith Kercher's family lived through years of opposing court decisions with quiet strength. They always sought the truth about what happened to their daughter and sister. Amanda Knox and Raffaele Salcedo worked to rebuild their lives after years labeled as guilty and time spent in prison. Rudy Guide finished his prison term. His presence at the scene was clear, yet his exact actions are still questioned by some. The killing of Meredith Kercher remains a sad event. A young woman's hopeful life was ended by violence. The long, winding court path that followed showed deep questions about proof, police work, and finding justice when the world is watching closely. It left behind a puzzling and troubling story. The Lost Backpacker, Grace Millane's story. Grace Millane felt the pull of adventure. At 21, the new university graduate from England started a dream trip around the globe. She explored South America first, full of youthful spirit. In late November 2018, she flew to New Zealand, eager for the next part of her travels. Auckland's city lights and harbors were her new backdrop. Just before turning 22, Grace decided to meet someone through the Tinder dating app. She connected with Jesse Kempson, a 26-year-old man living there. On the evening of December 1st, they met. City cameras followed them through Auckland's center as they visited bars, looking like any young couple getting acquainted. Around 9:40 p.m., cameras captured the last known images of Grace alive, walking into the City Life Hotel on Queen Street with Kempson. They went to his apartment inside. Sometime during that night, or perhaps early the next day, her birthday, Grace's life was taken in that room. A later examination showed she died from pressure to her neck. She was strangled. After Grace died, Kempson's actions revealed a dark plan. His phone history showed searches about body disposal and the Waitakere Ranges, a large park area nearby. He searched online for big suitcases. On December 2nd, Grace's birthday, he purchased cleaning items and a large travel bag. That afternoon, probably with Grace's body hidden in his room, he met another woman for a date arranged through Tinder. The next day, December 3rd, Kempson rented a car. He put Grace's body, hidden in the suitcase, into the car. GPS information later confirmed the car went to the Waitakere Ranges. Off a road called Scenic Drive, he dug a shallow hole and buried her. He returned the rental car after trying to clean it. Miles away in England, Grace's family grew anxious. She didn't reply to birthday messages on December 2nd. She stayed silent in the following days. This was not like Grace at all. On December 5th, they reported her missing. Auckland police started a major search. Using the city's many cameras, they followed Grace's last known steps. The video trail led straight to Jesse Kempson. When police first spoke to him, Kempson said he met Grace but claimed they parted ways after their date. But the proof mounted against him. The video evidence, his strange purchases, the car rental data, the holes in his story. On December 8th, police arrested Kempson. They charged him with Grace's murder, even before they had found her. The police investigation focused on the Waitakere Ranges, guided by Kempson's phone use and the rental car's GPS path. On December 9th, searchers spotted disturbed ground off Scenic Drive. They dug into the shallow grave and found the suitcase. Inside was Grace Millane. Jesse Kempson's trial started in November 2019. The prosecution presented the case as a deliberate killing. They pointed to Kempson's careful actions after Grace died. The internet searches, buying the bag, cleaning efforts, burying her, meeting another woman, as signs he knew she was dead and tried to hide his crime. His defense lawyers told a different story. They claimed Grace died by accident during consensual sex involving choking. They said Kempson acted out of panic when he realized she was dead. The jury listened to witnesses, watched the troubling video timeline, reviewed the scientific evidence from the hotel room, and heard about Kempson's searches and movements. On November 22, 2019, they all agreed. Jesse Kempson was guilty of murdering Grace Millane. In February 2020, a judge gave him a life sentence, ordering him to stay in prison for at least 17 years before he could be considered for release. Grace's death sent waves of sadness and anger through New Zealand and the UK. People gathered at candlelit vigils across New Zealand to remember the young traveler and speak out against violence toward women. The Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, publicly apologized to Grace's family for what happened in her country. The trial brought attention to the rough sex defense, starting discussions about consent and holding people responsible when sexual encounters end in death. It was revealed later that Kempson had attacked other women too. These facts were kept out of the murder trial, so the jury could focus only on Grace's case. Grace Millane's trip ended tragically, far from her home. Her story became a sad reminder of dangers women can face and the need for safety, even in countries thought to be safe. Just want to quickly say a big thank you to everyone who's already subscribed. If you find this case breakdown helpful, hit that like button to let me know. And if you want more investigations like this one, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. The Cold River's Secret, Mandy Stavek's story. In the fall of 1989, Mandy Stavek came home. She was 18, a college student visiting for Thanksgiving break. Her bright, active presence returned to the quiet roads of Clipper, a small Washington town. People knew her for her smile and warmth, a familiar figure in the tight community. The day after Thanksgiving felt crisp. Mandy went for a run, something she often did. Her family's German shepherd, Kyra, ran beside her down Strand Road. Hours slipped by. The sun dropped lower. Worries started at the Stavek house. Mandy hadn't come back. Later that day, Kyra returned, but Mandy was not with her. Fear gripped the family. A search started right away. Family, friends, police, and neighbors looked through the woods and fields. 3 days passed, filled with dread. The search ended with a terrible discovery. Mandy's body was found in the Nooksack River, miles from where she vanished. The news confirmed the town's darkest fears. An examination showed she had been attacked and drowned. Police gathered evidence from her body, including biological traces of her attacker. This material held a hidden code, its importance unknown at the time, but it would later solve the case. The Whatcom County Sheriff's Office started its work. Officers spoke with many people, checked every clue, and looked at several local men. But no solid suspects surfaced. The evidence collected, especially the DNA sample, held potential. A DNA profile was created using the new science of the day, but without a suspect's sample for comparison or a large database. It was like having a locked door without its key. The investigation stalled. Years passed, then decades. Mandy's case stayed unsolved, a constant sorrow for the community and her family. Her mother, Mary, never stopped hoping for answers. Police looked at the files again over the years. They asked men who lived near Strand Road in 1989 for DNA samples. Some gave samples, others did not. The person responsible remained unknown, like a shadow from that awful November day. In the 2010s, a fresh look brought new possibility. Detective Kevin Bohe took over the cold case. He had access to DNA science far beyond what existed in 1989. Attention returned to people living near Mandy's running route years ago. One name reappeared, Timothy Forsbase. He had lived near the Staveks back then. He was questioned early on, but not strongly suspected. He had refused requests for his DNA. Police needed Base's DNA to check against the samples saved since 1989. They formed a plan. They found out Base worked at Franz Bakery. A co-worker there knew about the investigation and offered to help. In 2017, this co-worker gathered a plastic cup and a Coke can Base had used and thrown away at work. She gave these items to Detective Bohe. The cup and can went to the state crime lab. Scientists swabbed them, getting saliva samples. They created a DNA profile for Base. Then came the critical step. The lab compared Base's profile to the unknown profile from Mandy Stavek's body from nearly 28 years before. They matched. On December 12, 2017, time ran out for Timothy Base. At age 50, he was arrested. He was charged with kidnapping, rape, and murder. His trial started in May 2019. Prosecutors showed the timeline and the solid DNA proof linking Base to Mandy. The defense suggested other ideas, maybe consensual contact before the crime or errors with the evidence. The jury studied the facts. On May 24, 2019, they reached their decision, guilty of all charges. Timothy Base was responsible for Mandy Stavek's death. Months later, he got the longest sentence possible under 1989 laws, almost 27 years in prison. After nearly 30 years of waiting and grief, an answer arrived. Justice, delayed for so long, was served for Mandy. Her family, her determined mother, saw the man responsible finally face consequences. The case showed how forensic science can reach back through time and how dedicated police work can solve even the coldest cases. The darkness that had hung over Strand Road for years began to lift. Bianca Devins shone brightly. At 17, she expressed herself through art, a young woman full of life, known for her resilience. She had faced personal struggles, but was finding her place, connecting with people online through Instagram and Discord. In these digital spaces, she shared her creations and thoughts, building a community that appreciated her unique style. One person in this online circle was Brandon Clark, 21. They had connected online months before. Bianca and her family saw him as a friend, someone she sometimes met in person. Clark, it appears, felt differently. He developed strong feelings for Bianca, feelings that warped into possessiveness. He seemed to see their connection as deeper than the friendship Bianca knew. A summer night in July 2019 changed everything. Bianca and Clark traveled to New York City for a concert by Nicole Dollanganger, an artist Bianca liked. The night held the promise of music and fun. Yet, something happened at the show, perhaps a kiss Bianca shared with another person, that set off Clark's possessive anger. The drive back to Utica later that night turned tense. An argument started, fed by Clark's feelings of being slighted. He steered the car onto a quiet, dead-end street. Inside the stopped vehicle, in the darkness, Clark attacked Bianca with a knife, ending her life. The horror escalated from that point. Clark took graphic pictures of Bianca's body. He then shared these terrible images on the same online platforms where Bianca had found friendship. Pictures appeared on Discord servers. A horrific image showed up on his Instagram story. The internet reacted almost instantly. The disturbing photos spread rapidly across different sites, Discord, Instagram, 4chan. People who knew Bianca, and many who did not, were confronted with the visual proof of her murder. The very platforms meant for sharing became channels for this gruesome display. While the images traveled online, Clark himself contacted 911. He made statements about what he had done and spoke of harming himself. Police arrived to find him outside the car. Bianca's body lay nearby, covered by a tarp. As officers approached, Clark began stabbing his own neck. Before being stopped by the police, he positioned himself over Bianca's covered form and took selfies. He survived his wounds and was taken into custody. The courts later confirmed the crime's brutal details. Clark faced a charge of second-degree murder. He first claimed innocence, suggesting emotional disturbance. Later, in February 2020, he admitted his guilt. The reason presented was clear: toxic jealousy and rage over perceived rejection. In March 2021, Clark received his sentence, 25 years to life in prison. During the court proceedings, Bianca's family members spoke. Their voices shook, yet they stood firm, describing their pain and Clark's terrible act. They also celebrated Bianca's life, her art, her spirit, the future she lost. Clark offered an apology. His words felt empty measured against the crime. Bianca Devins' murder became a stark example of the internet's potential dark side. Social media companies face strong criticism for delays in taking down the violent images. Bianca's family and friends found themselves fighting a constant battle against the pictures reappearing online. Users tried to counter the horror, flooding hashtags with positive images of Bianca, pink clouds, flowers, her art, reclaiming her memory. Bianca's family, especially her mother Kim, channeled their grief into action. They started advocating for Bianca's Law. This proposed legislation sought to make social media platforms more responsible for graphic content and create better ways for families and police to report such material. Their efforts raised awareness about online safety, the dangers of possessiveness in relationships, violence against women, and the impact of seeing violent images online. Bianca Devins had a life filled with creativity ahead of her. That life was stolen. Her story serves as a painful lesson about the dangers that can exist in online interactions and the need for greater safety and responsibility in the digital world. Her memory, now fuels a continuing effort to protect others from similar tragedies.